Welcome to No Latex Needed, where we keep it uncut, uncensored, and most important of all,
undeniably entertaining.
We are your hosts, Kemosabe
and Skittie writing with my running joke that I never update my blog. One day.
Yeah,
in the future.
And as you can clearly see, we're back on the Zoom, but it's not 2020. And we're not alone, as we are joined by none other than Two Sticks, Julio Diaz of Galaxy Beats,
and Shane Ragunin.
What's going on? What's popping? What's popping?
Who are those guys?
Things popping.
I don't know. Some
morons. Oh my gosh.
Some guys who think they can, do music or some shit like that.
We're a bunch of really excited to have you guys here.
Yeah.
And can't wait to anally fist you guys with some questions. Just kidding.
So what do you have in store for us today?
What do you mean?
I don't know. You were the one who came up with the questions and shit.
No, I didn't.
You sure about that?
All right. So this first question, we're gonna mention I've been seeing on like the Twitter sphere. Yes, that's an Ice Cube 21 Jump Street reference. Okay, so there is this website called VoyageMIA, which 3 of the 4 people in this podcast right now have been interviewed. And Julio, this first question is actually for you. So 26 had mentioned in his interview that he decided to play along with you and Deshaunton. Can you tell us how you started playing with Deshaunton across the MDC campus?
We were playing patty cake on near the lake. And 26 came in and he wanted to join, and it went from patty cake to whole cake.
Oh, the whole cake.
But yeah, so what happened was Deshaunton and I, we would play guitar all the time near the lake and MDC. And 26 had noticed, and he, came along and saw it. Like, hey, you guys, I want to start a project. You think you guys can maybe want to start one? And they're like, yeah, we can do that. Deshaunton unfortunately didn't have the time to do it. So then I looked over yonder and I saw the great Shane. Not so great state, but nonetheless, the great Shane.
The great Shane Ragunin.
Yeah, he's not wrong. I remember like it was just yesterday. I was like sitting by the lake. I had gone through a really, really shit breakup at that time. And just randomly he comes to me, he's like, "Hey, do you still play keyboard and shit?" And I'm like, "Well, I have it somewhere sitting in the garage. Why?" And that's when he told me about Two Sticks, and we used to play like all over campus. We used to play like mostly in it was like the entertainment part of it. Not entertainment, but like where the theater was.
I think it was around Building 5, I think.
I don't know. Yeah.
You know what you're saying means nothing to me because I've only been to the Kendall campus.
Kendall campus.
The arts building.
Bro, Kendall campus has that scary R building that like it's full of fucking glass, and the glass is actually like shattered and broken there. So it's like that's scary.
Oh my god, are you serious, bro?
I am 100% serious, and they had like wood everywhere. So
well, we went that one time that they were holding an open mic, and I think they were holding it near there. Yeah, I remember that glass building.
Oh, me too.
Was that the building with glass? I thought it was a different building.
That's where they have their like music hall or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, getting
so back. Glass in buildings scary. The end.
Well, either way, yeah, we played in, as 26 puts it, Building 5. I haven't been in the North Campus for so long that I don't remember any of the buildings anymore and their numbers.
I do, because I mean, pretty much all my classes were in Building 5 because I was taking music classes around the time.
The arts building.
So yeah, we would just like
no.
The art, yeah. So yeah, we would just sit around and we would play, and professors, students, and unfortunately sometimes the occasional ex and her stupid boyfriend would come around and listen, and even they couldn't deny that they liked what they heard. And I don't know, it was like an overnight thing. Like we started playing, we started recording, and next thing you know, we're playing in MDC. So that was really the start of it.
All right, maybe I should have started with this question, and I think this is the burning question for all three of you.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh, no.
you guys ready for this? I wish I had like a drum roll or some shit. Like, okay.
No.
So, whose idea was it to start the band?
That would
Yeah.
have to be Two Sticks.
Yeah, no, that's
Oh,
that's
shit.
definitely Two Sticks.
Because reality, I used to, before I even started this, I joined a band called Ellipses, but unfortunately that band didn't really go anywhere because the bassist, she was moving out of state, and all of a sudden, you know, things got a little quite, erratic, I would say it. And then next thing you know, I saw these guys, and I said, I was walking around this campus with my old snare from my old drum kit, and I would usually take it to practice, and I just practice some rudiments and stuff. And then that's when I seen Julio and DeShanton, and that made me think, damn, I want to go over there and join them. What if they need a percussionist?
And we
Yeah.
did. Percussion we
And yeah.
needed.
And
You need it like SpongeBob said.
but and although he never as far as I know, he never joined us, but I do think it's worth mentioning Patrick, also, would play with us sometimes. He would play like guitar every now and then.
In the almost 2
Yeah.
years that we were married, never mentioned this Patrick.
Well, I think his correct, like the way you say his name is Patricio or however it is. I call him Patrick. I don't give a shit. But
Does he give a shit? Whether this Patrick fellow?
knowing him,
That's the important question.
no, like Patrick,
Yeah.
we've known him for years. He's cooler than the ice in my fridge right now. He's in a band called what was it, Slim Glasses or something?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I wouldn't listen to
I
a
think
band
it's
with that name.
Well, you're
No
going to.
offense.
I mean, it's
Because
like
They're
basically
great.
if four nerds got together and said, "Hey, let's try and do some music and try to get laid." No, in all seriousness, they're a really good band.
Okay, I'll check him out.
And he's a great musician. He does all kinds of stuff.
I'm just saying, like, at face value, like, I hate to be that person, but like if I saw them, like, okay, cool, goodbye.
Well, all I'm gonna say
Skip.
is I've got nothing but love for
Alright.
him. So
Yeah, I'll give it a listen.
yeah,
I know.
They're pretty good. I like their stuff. It makes you feel good.
yeah.
But Patrick, or if
Patrice.
if he does give a shit,
But how is it, like? Am I saying it right, or have I forgotten it all these years?
no,
I think you forgot.
you said it right.
Where you
Patrick.
didn't give
Okay.
a shit.
Okay, yeah. I had class with the fucking guy, so
He's great. He would actually, when I would play with DeShanton all around campus, he'd join in with his big ass cello and just start playing low end with us there, and it was just great. It was wonderful.
nice.
We
It
named
was.
ourselves the MDC Jammers.
Oh
Everything stopped when we played.
Well, it definitely sounds better than the MDC Jerkers.
Alright.
I would actually be curious to see what they're about.
Oh my God.
They're in a circle. Oh,
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so you guys have been together for 6 years.
Yeah.
6
Jesus Christ. Time
too
flies.
damn long.
years. 666. I'm just kidding. So,
Yes.
like, in the 6 years that you guys have been together, not in like maybe a little bit in a gay way, I'm not sure, but like in a platonic friendship way. Okay. I'm sure you must have experienced your fair share of like hard times and obstacles. What obstacles, like if any, have you guys experienced together as a band in this relationship?
Who wants to answer this?
I suppose.
I think you should, Julio. I feel like you wanted to say something.
Yeah,
I mean,
go ahead.
I mean, I do have things to say, but I want to give someone else a chance.
Okay, fine. Shane Ragunin.
Yeah, I guess I can
Yeah,
answer that. I mean,
your husband.
what do you call this? There's been a lot of things like what do you call this? Personally, I don't know how Two Sticks and Julio feel, but I always hated signing up for like competitions like Battle of the Bands, and it's like, oh, who say what?
It's ridiculous. I feel you on that.
Yeah, like I don't want to play to compete. I want to play to have fun, you know what I mean? And I always
Correct.
I don't like that. And so the few times that we have, like, let's say, we do an open mic, and what do you call this? And they're like, oh, the musicians who get like the loudest reaction, they get like, they win money or whatever. And you know, and then we end up losing to some petite white woman.
Or a Haitian man singing about sex.
Yeah, like
That one's still engraved in my memory.
I forgot about the
You
Haitian
know,
dude.
I had forgotten about him, but
I
then
haven't.
you mentioned him, and then now like I just want to like I don't know, like cringe again, I guess.
Yeah, and in a weird way, it kind of like
It kind of was cringe.
no, not
Not like cringe. That's not the right word I'm trying to say, but you know what I mean.
like
Like you feel some type of way.
like for me it was like, oh, you know what, fuck them that they chose that person, you know what I mean? And it
Right.
just like motivated us to do better. And what do you call this, like we became better, as a sense it like challenged us more. I felt like other hardships is what do you call this, well, we face it every day. Like, I send
I
several
agree.
emails, I do several phone calls, in terms of trying to get places to sign up and whatnot. And it's not easy. Like, I'll tell you one phone call. I don't think I told either one of you about this phone call, but there was a place out in somewhere north. I think it was in Boca or something. It looked like a really cool place. I called, the lady answered, and I'm telling her like, hey, we're Galaxy Beat, we're a punk rock band, we do some originals, we do some covers. She's like, how many songs do you know in your set list? And I'm like, I couldn't give you a number. I can tell you we draw a good crowd, but she was like very adamant about like it being just strictly cover. And I'm just like, you're just not gonna give us a fucking chance, not even a fighting chance.
No,
Exactly.
you got to be good or get out.
Yeah, like, and
They
that's
just
kind
want
of
so much out of you. That doesn't make no sense. You know what I mean? Like, what more do you want?
the
Get
sad thing about it
good.
is that, cover bands are the ones that usually make the most money, because,
Right.
rather
Oh,
than
but you
someone
know who else make the most money?
who,
DJs.
yeah, DJs, all they gotta do is press a space button.
Press a
Spacebar.
space button. I feel like
Space button?
that's
Where
all
is
the
that
self
shit?
want.
Spacebar.
Space bar, whatever. But and
Right.
then like on occasion, like they turn the volume down. Hey, is everybody having a good time? Do. Hey, we have a birthday tonight. Do. You know. But yeah, it's just like there's people would rather hear "Welcome to the Jungle" 500 times than an original song, and that's kind of the sad part about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. It also depends where you are. Some of the
Yeah,
hardships have been, yeah, booking shows or I mean, even in the beginning when we first started, just trying to, well, not only book shows because we were a up and starting band, but trying to get the recognition we wanted,
yeah.
and then using that to book other shows, and that was hard, but
Very.
we, you know, we overcame.
Yeah, and I mean now we're getting invited to do fairs and festivals and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
yeah, and
I'm pretty excited.
if I had to honestly just what do you call this, for young musicians out there who are just getting started, like you got to start somewhere. Always try starting like open mics. Those are always fun, and your first fans, I read this in a tweet recently. Your first fans are usually going to be other musicians, and when they notice you, they're gonna be like, "Hey, how about you play at this show that I need another performer for?" You know what I mean? So, don't
Correct.
take things like that for granted.
Hey,
Correct.
are you gay for pay?
And
Fuck
that
you.
that goes without like us being at each other's throats sometimes. That's another hardship, you know.
Yeah, some hardships sometimes do get us, really riled up, and then yeah, we want to be at each other's throats, just like what the fuck. So
Yeah, and
it can get difficult sometimes, but as long as you're doing it for not the right reasons, I mean, but like at least you know if you're doing it for a reason that doesn't separate all of you or make you aggressive toward each other, then you're good to go.
Correct.
yeah, exactly. I agree.
So,
All right, this next question I have for you guys is kind of like a loaded question, I feel. I don't know how you guys are gonna take it.
okay.
All right, so as musicians, sometimes everyone likes to be a critic when it comes to like everything regarding your presentation, your performance, or your style of music. How do you guys handle criticism? Dun dun dun.
Oh, you mentioned anal fisting of questions.
I wasn't
Like,
lying.
you weren't. You like you went like elbow deep.
Well, Will you start and you tell us how you deal with criticism?
I love how Julio has to like start all the
Yeah. He has a
answers.
lot. He has a lot of criticism. I could tell.
I personally I don't handle criticism well,
Mm.
but in terms of us being musicians, the best we could do with criticism is just play something, and then hopefully that will change their minds. I remember um first thing I thought of when you asked that question was when we were at Cagney Saloon for the first time.
Oh dear. Yeah.
And then, for an
Yep.
open mic, unfortunately, but that's what they were having.
Right.
And, you could kind of feel it in the air when we were going up. And they're like, these guys, they're not going to play Freebird. Like, come on. And so,
Let me puff on this cigar.
because
Oh,
this was
cancer.
because this was another setting, like Shane said, that they want to hear fucking Welcome to the Jungle 500 times. And then after that, Freebird. And, we went up there and everyone loved our shit. We had people dancing. We had people like going, "Oh yeah,"
I
and then
remember
we
there was
also
a woman dancing too.
yes,
Yes.
and then at the end of that, we were invited to do this July 4th Originals Fest thing. So
Right.
in terms of criticism, I mean that's one thing I can think of. Just play, and maybe that'll prove them wrong. And if it doesn't, well, who cares? Just have fun playing. Um, I don't know what you guys have to say about criticism.
Two six. How do you handle criticism?
Well, usually how I do this is because I practice more. Because dealing with criticism, it won't matter. It won't matter if I'm emotionally upset or something. I just usually practice,
Okay.
and I know I could just push myself up to the next level. And I just say, you know what, this is how I deal with it. Just by, I feel what you're saying, Julio. Play something
Yeah.
because
They use it as motivation.
yeah, because a lot of people out here they want to hear break on through. They want to hear Welcome to the Jungle, of course. They want to hear, what else? They want to hear Breathe by Nirvana. They want to hear all that shit. You know what I'm
They
saying?
they do.
They
But
do.
we play
Of
the
course.
shit that they don't hear every day.
Every
Right.
day, right. That's what I'm saying. That's something
And,
they want to hear. And it's like, come on now. We not a cover band. Come on.
right.
You know what
The
I'm
Six
only
saying?
reason
criticism.
Yeah, the only reason, honestly, that we did some cover songs was because we thought it'd be fun. Like, you know, some of these songs we really like.
Exactly. We thought it would be fun.
And B, because, you know, when you're doing, you know, a performance, it's like it helps when you do a couple of songs that the audience, you know, knows, and then they're like, oh, okay, well, these guys did this pretty good, so we'll hear them out on the rest.
Right.
Yeah. For me, quite frankly, I've heard it all with criticism. I've always heard like, oh, you should play more notes, or, you know, there's
You
been
need a bassist.
what's that? Oh, yeah, you need a
One of
bassist.
my
Yeah.
one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Guys, you need a bassist.
You know,
Hey, fuck you. We don't
right,
need
yeah.
one.
No. You want to know what's the I should say greatest. The best criticism I've ever received. It came from my own grandma. Okay? You want to know what she told me? I think I told you this. She
I
said,
think
Go
you
ahead.
did.
she goes, "What you guys need is a sexy chick, you know, singing." And I'm like, well, how's that gonna help?
She was well, she was trying to help out, but
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm
well,
like,
either way,
what are you saying? We're fucking ugly?
Oh my gosh.
You know?
it more or less sounds like that. Yeah. Well, either
Oh
way,
my
we tried
God, I
looking.
could not.
Yeah,
was
like
nice.
it still trips me up to this day.
We tried looking for a singer to just focus on singing, but at the end of the day, it's just like, fuck it, let's do it ourselves. I mean, it can't be
I
that
mean,
hard,
I
and it was.
talked on stage.
Yeah,
That close
Even
enough.
even to
that,
find
that
a
is
bassist
pretty cool.
too. That
Yeah.
is kind of difficult.
No,
I
You
mean,
know.
we've had like 5 basses join us on stage, so
Can I be the sex one?
as long as you don't do the Seinfeld theme song, you're okay. But yeah, getting back to criticism, the one thing that has always pissed me off in the past is when someone tells me, and it's been very vague, but there's been a few people who tell me like, oh, you guys shouldn't be doing like skits, or you shouldn't be doing comedy when you're performing. You gotta be
oh yeah.
skit. And I'm just like,
What's wrong with that?
yeah, like I never understood it, frankly. It's like if we're not having fun with this shit, then what's the whole purpose of this? You know what I mean? And we're trying to do something that separates us from everybody else, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like they
Exactly.
want background music or something. Like, oh, we should have invited a fucking jazz band or something.
Listen, if you want a band that just doesn't talk and just plays, listen to the fucking Cantina band from Star Wars,
Oh my
okay?
gosh.
The same song on repeat.
But you know,
Mhm.
the best way to handle criticism, I feel, in my opinion, is you tell them, "I'll take it under consideration," and then you shove it right up their ass.
Yes, right.
I have like a less cutthroat question for you guys.
So
Okay.
you're retracting the arm a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what kind of genre do you guys consider yourself, like punk rock? But you know, you guys also do like other genres of music. So would you consider yourselves like a multi-genre, or like what's like the
Whatever you want it to be, I don't care.
okay meringue?
Meringue.
I'm more of an R&B person because my mom listens to a lot of R&B music since, I started drumming. So I started listening to more rock. I was introduced to that first before I even got into drumming. I listened to a lot of rock music. R&B music is something my mom introduced me to, like I said. Then I started getting into pop. Let's see. I getting into pop. Hip hop, of course. We grew up listening to hip hop. We already know Notorious Big, Tupac, Nas, Jay-Z, Ludacris, Outkast. We know them all, etc. And I used to listen to all their stuff. So more majority, I'm multi-genre. I mean, I listen to funk, pop, rock, R&B, and hip hop music, I listen to a lot of it. So that's what got me into it. So I'm like multi-genre.
All right, so Galaxy Pete should just be put under all when it comes to music genre.
I mean, pretty
Just
much.
put cake mix genre. That's it.
Yeah,
Oh,
like,
totally.
and getting back to the whole criticism thing, another thing that some people like to say is, oh, you should just stick to one genre. It's like, why?
Oh,
Like fucking boring.
Like, do you go to a
What?
fucking ice cream shop and you only order 2 scoops of vanilla? No. You ask them for 1 scoop of vanilla, 1 scoop of chocolate, and you throw in some sprinkles and stuff. Why? Because more is fun, you know? Variety is the
Exactly.
spice of life.
I agree.
And like
Facts.
I
I
do
agree.
listen to bands that like they mix different genres of like music. Like they'll throw in like rap,
Yeah.
like some like dance or like techno beats, like randomly in the song, but like it makes sense and it meshes well. I think the important thing it has to mesh well with what you're
Yeah.
listening to.
And if
And
we
has
did,
to make somewhat sense.
yeah, and if
Yeah.
we didn't, have these collaborative efforts of, mixing genres together, we would have never had things like the Beastie Boys. We would have never had Run DMC work with Aerosmith. We would have never had like,
I would even argue like gym class heroes.
gym class heroes. I'm thinking of so many things.
Yeah, I'm trying to like add to that list, but you know what I mean.
Rap, like rap rock or
Yeah.
new metal, whatever, in the early 2000s, I guess,
Yeah,
Baby metal.
when
No.
I'm just playing around.
when Jay-Z and Linkin Park, collaborated,
Yeah.
there are so many things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Ozzy collaborated with Post Malone, so
Well, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. Well, luckily we didn't have too much criticism on that of you just stick to one genre because we had a lot of people, compliment that we were so mixed and that it blended well and like, hey, you guys sound different. Keep it that way. Like, all right, we will. Thank you, sir. Have a nice night. And and but yeah, and up to till this day, I mean, we're just gonna be multi-genre, but I guess leaning toward punk, I guess, because we all come from a different, background. Shane loves his, variety of music genres. So does Two Sticks. I mean, I mostly grew up listening to punk and metal, and the new metal also, and I still listen to the same thing till this day. So
I will say, like, as a listener, at least like, when you come out with like, more songs and like full length albums and stuff like that, at least like everything will sound like different, won't sound like the same thing. Like where I see
yeah,
like, some bands like it sounds all the same.
Correct.
yeah, no,
I agree.
I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I mean that's kind of my intention. Just don't sound the same in every song.
The whole purpose is to not sound like everyone else, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Correct.
that's what it is. Like, as much as I enjoy, getting compliments from people who tell us like we sound like this or we sound like that, with all due respect, I just want us to sound like Galaxy Beat. I want people to hear us and say, damn, you know what that sounds like? That sounds like those Galaxy Beat boys.
Yeah.
Them
It's almost
Galaxy
like
Boys.
Yeah.
it's almost like being like Queen. Like there's some songs like I didn't know that Queen like, did. Like I think recently I found out like
Yeah,
the song
because
they're like, oh, this is a Queen song. Like was it like
yeah,
a little thing called Love or something like that?
Yeah, it's
yeah.
Yeah.
that crazy little
So
thing.
Yeah, that
Because
one. Or like
unfortunately,
someone.
everyone only knows Bohemian Rhapsody or fucking We Are the Champions, but no one explores outside of that. It's like, hey,
I hate to
listen
admit this,
to.
but I found out recently, like, You're My Best Friend was by Queen. Like, I thought it was by someone else, but it was a Queen song. And
There you
yes, you
go.
guys are, our listeners, feel free to roast me for that.
I'm just sitting here thinking about how I wish we were named Galaxy Boys.
Oh my
with
god.
an I.
With an eye.
Yeah.
Oh my
You're gonna throw a lot
god.
of people off, I think.
Just imagine like the logo, right? Instead of saying beat all cool and shit, it just says boys.
You know how many rap shows we'd be invited to if we were named like that?
Yeah. Yeah,
You
because
got
rap
all
likes that
of course.
shit.
All
you
right.
got all these guys that bring their mixtape or their USB, and then we got them Galaxy Boys and just play punk, the one punk band in the entire rap show.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Okay, speaking of all of that, whatever you just said, I wasn't listening. I'm just kidding. I just want your onion on these things. And yes, I said onion instead of opinion because that's boring.
Onions have layers.
Exactly. That's why I say onion.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anywho,
anyway, do you think that rap/hip hop should have its own Hall of Fame as opposed to rappers being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yes, I agree.
I mean, it makes sense. Like,
Yes, it
it
does.
just makes sense. Like,
It's just not only is it like a whole different style of music, but you have so many greats that came out, pioneering that style of music, and then those that came after that just kept, I don't know, improving it or just were awesome at it in their own way. So honestly, yeah, I think there should be a hip hop Hall of Fame, with Biggie, Tupac, Jay-Z, Ludacris, Eminem, fucking, I don't know who you want to vote for in modern times, because as rap in modern times, I'm not really fond of at all.
Right.
So
Well, what do you think, Two Sticks?
I agree with Julio saying. I agree because, like you said, Jay-Z did it, and Jay-Z and Linkin Park collaborated, and they made a song called "Numb" Encore. I love that song so much. Love it. I
Yeah,
maybe just want to cover that shit, but you know what I'm saying?
hmm,
I feel what Julio was saying though, because there's a lot of hip hop artists that like to collaborate with rock bands and all that stuff. And they seem to love it, you know.
right. I personally have never had a problem with it because rock and rap kind of go together like peanut butter and jelly. Yes, they're two different genres, but they complement each other. Like there are so many songs that as I get older, I realize like they use guitar in it. Like, I think about some of the inductees that are in there right now, like LL Cool J and the Notorious B.I.G. And if you ask these guys, believe it or not, like a lot of them are big fans of rock. Like Ice-T, I just learned today that he's like the biggest, I think it was Jeff Beck fan that he has like a ton of records of. I could be wrong, but I heard he's like a huge rock fan. Well, I mean, speaking of Ice-T, he's got his band Body Count, his rock.
yeah,
So, you know, and then there was that time that Public Enemy collaborated with Anthrax, and
yeah, that's right.
so I personally don't have a problem with it. I feel like that's more of a purist thing more than anything else. And I could be biased because like Gene Simmons came out and when NWA was hired,
Mhm.
I mean not hired, when they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he was like, I don't understand why they're here or whatever. He had like some kind of stick up his ass, and all kinds of rock stars were like supporting the fact that NWA was in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, I personally never saw an issue.
So I think now Kemosabe would like to ask a question.
Yes. Now this question is directed towards Two Sticks. Now Two Sticks, by looking at your Instagram, it's clear that music is not the only passion you have. You seem to really enjoy cooking and working out. Where does your love for both of these things come from exactly?
Well, years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I think, back in 2017, I was like a green stream bean, to be honest. So as I looked at myself, I said, man, I need to start hitting the weights because I'm tired of being at the same size, you know. So first day at the gym, loved it. Then I just said, you know what? I'm gonna have to start coming back again and again and again because I love it. I want to stay consistent. I want to have that motivation, you know. So as I grew up and started hitting weights whenever I have days off or
Oh,
You
yeah,
lost him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go.
so as I was mentioning,
hang on.
Hmm.
Your audio.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're still
Right. We got the technical difficulties out of the way, so now please continue your answer.
so I was saying a couple of years back, I was a green stream bean. I was like this skinny. But then I realized, I started hitting the gym more and more, started eating more and cooking meals more, because who knows, I don't feel like spending a dime over at my job because everything in my job is high as hell. So that's why I usually just had like a post-workout meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, right there, and I'm set. And then I go to the gym, go to work, leave work, go straight to the gym, have dinner, boom, set. You know what I'm saying? And as far as that, man, I'm starting to like it. I'm starting to like it. I had customers telling me, man, you didn't gain so much weight. You didn't got bigger. What the hell happened to you? Well, stay consistent is what I gotta say. Consistency is the key. You know what I mean?
Right.
What makes you think carrying Raven, my 6-piece drum set, is such a pain in the ass? That's
Right.
not heavy. And that's not even easy, period. Especially me carrying her, carrying bass amplifiers, monitors, all that stuff is heavy. You know what I'm saying? You gotta stay in shape.
Right.
And that's something I told my youngest nephew, because he's a drummer too. I gave that kid an experience, and big shout out to Shelton Mitchell Jr. That's my nephew. So big shout out to him. I'm glad he's doing his thing out there. And I told him, you know, you want to be a drummer, you gotta stay consistent, stay in shape means work out every day, because who knows, carrying your pieces of gear could be a pain in the ass, and it could be heavy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's why I was like, I eat every day, look for meals to cook, and I usually look it up on YouTube if you ask. So I follow the recipe there, and I even check it out on Instagram too.
Okay.
And from there, I go straight to the gym on my off days and when I get off from shift.
Hmm.
But,
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
yeah, because staying in shape is important. I had listen. The thing is, my family would say, Demetrius didn't got from skinny to big. You damn right.
It's,
Damn right.
All right, so this next question is pointed for you, Two Sticks, and it was just something, we happened to notice. So, I don't know if our listeners ever watched Hannah Montana, and there was a specific actor by the name
Mitchell.
of Mitchell Musso, and
Oh yeah.
you say you're a fan of him. We're just wondering, like, what makes you a fan of him? Like, what about him, like, stands
Well,
out?
I used to listen to his music when I was in junior high school. I'm talking about middle school, way back. So I listened to his music, but in comparison to that, I used to listen to the Jonas Brothers and Demi Lovato.
Are you
And they're
implying that you watched a lot of Disney Channel during that time, or?
a little bit, a little bit. But I didn't watch Hannah Montana. But when I find out about Mitchell Musso and his music, the first song that came to me was "Hey." I love that song so much. I said, you know what? I love it. So I have to go over to Music Teresa and cover it, you know, because man, I love this guy's music, and he is stepping his game up this year. Him and his brother are producing, and I think Mitchell Musso, he sings, but now he's rapping now. But back then he was singing. So there's like a few songs I like about him. It's "Hey," "Shout It," "Getaway," and "Celebrate." That's just only those four. I love those four.
hmm.
Interesting. Yeah,
I
we're
love.
just curious.
I mean, I've been a fan of his music since I was in middle school.
Right.
I love it. Hmm.
All right, this next one is for everybody, even you, Julio, that's on mute. All right, so out of all the songs that you've ever performed, recorded, thought about, okay, that's in existence. which one is your favorite one? And you can only choose one. Just one. That's like your favorite, like your ultimate favorite. It's like your favorite cookie or something.
Someone else answer.
Well, man, that's hard because what do you call this? You know,
I was about to make an inappropriate joke there, but we are no latex needed, so do you want me to do it?
yeah, go ahead.
Probably like my cock.
Um, no, in all seriousness, like I think about the songs that we perform, and you know, we're performing these songs almost on a nightly basis, and um, man, I mean, you know, we got this new song out, that'll be on our EP coming out in a couple of days, called The Takeover. That's our newest song. I'm very proud of that song because of the fact that it's I have a weird love-hate relationship with it. Like I love the way it sounds. I hate that it came from a very angry part of my life, you know, where basically all the writing that went into it was just basically I was so fucking fed up with everything and we weren't getting booked for anything at the time. But that being said, I do enjoy like, you know, how heavy it sounds and the way it sounds through the speakers. You know, Wildflower is always fun. That's one where, you know, it usually closes out the show and you do something crazy at the end. I always
Like
enjoy
a marsh.
yeah. I always enjoy doing break on through because of how much, you know, the Doors mean to me. And, you know, if I wouldn't be the musician that I am today if it wasn't for the Doors, more specifically Jim Morrison. And you know, it's really it's like an honor to cover that song. Yeah, I mean,
Love it.
I don't know.
Just love it. But yeah, Takeover was good. I really just love it. And it really means a lot when and it finds a definition to me is, you know, you're having such a shit day, you know. It don't matter if it's at your job, no matter if it's a relationship, you know what I mean? It's a takeover, you know. I love that song. Most definitely. Most definitely love that one. Mellow Fella is another. Now that's something we came up with together years ago. You know, Shane would play something on his synth, and I said, "Damn, look, can you play that again, please?" And then it takes me about time to find the right drum groove, the right drum beat, and it takes me about damn hours of practice, and then yet found it because I wanted something to, you know, for that song, I wanted a drum beat that could make everybody dance and, you know, all the rappers could throw on that verse, you know. So that would be dope. But I would say Takeover, I most definitely love that. Mellow Fellow, love that one too. You can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, Mellow Fellow is very nostalgic to me because it's probably yeah, it's like the first it's like your first child, our first child, you know, basically
Yeah, that's our first child.
that, that we created and whatnot. And so it's nostalgic for that and the fact that, you know, when we first started, we were an instrumental band. It feels silly saying this now, but you know, 6 years ago when this band started, we thought, oh, there is no way on earth we can play and sing at the same time. Yeah, I mean, so every song you think of was literally an instrumental. Um, until we stopped being pussy about it and just finally said, no, we're gonna give this a shot and we're gonna make lyrics and we're gonna sing this shit, no matter how long it takes. You know what I mean? But yeah, Mellowful was a lot of fun when you, especially you know, when we used to do open mics and we would play it and then like rappers would come up and they would perform it. That's how we met a lot of rappers was because of that.
We did. It's because of that.
Yeah. So
What is your final answer?
well, before I give mine, Julio, what's your favorite song? You can read that. Cool.
Mine would have to be Wildflower, I guess, because I, wrote it.
You
And
sound very conceited.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, because
Sounds very funky.
everything about it was just like, I don't know, I composed it and everything. I just felt good writing that song. Um, but Takeover is a absolute fucking awesome song, and the riff I came up with, I didn't know where that came from, but I'm glad I came up with that for your song. And then Senorita also, I like that one. But
Final answer.
if I had to pick one, I don't know, just Wildflower. It's all my energy goes to that one, and it feels good playing that one all the time.
Yeah, it is a fun song. And I don't mean to correct you, but you said Takeover is my song. You're wrong. This is Communism. It's our song.
Oh my
Right,
god.
Communism, our song.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it would.
Exactly, boy.
I guess if we had to really think about it, it's probably either Takeover or Wildflower, because Wildflower is usually the last song on our set list. Because back then it was the only song we had on all streaming platforms and shit like that. So,
Yeah,
but that changes on February 17th.
yeah.
Yep, mark the calendars. Everything will be released next Friday.
That's right.
So next week's gonna be a good week for me.
Yeah.
All right, so everyone loves to talk about their inspirations, who inspire them to become a musician and whatnot. So the question I have for you guys is, dead or alive, what is the one musician that you would meet and why?
All right, Julio, let's start with you.
I love this question.
The one musician.
Yeah.
You can only pick one, dead or alive.
Was that a dog I just saw?
Yes, that was my puppy,
Okay.
puppy Winnie. I'd have to say Ozzy Osbourne,
Nah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
because he's a crazy fuck, and I love all his music, and he's still going on strong even after all the shit he just went through. So
Okay. All right, two sticks, and what of you?
Well, if I were to happen to be a musician, it would be Chad Smith, the drummer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I have been a big fan of this guy since I was like maybe 11 when I started drumming at the time. But I'll always turn on the TV and there's a Dania, California music video right there. And I could see a drummer in the background. I just said, damn, who is that? You know what I'm saying? What's he's doing? Maybe I want to give that a try. Maybe I want a drum setup like his. And Chad Smith, he hits hard as fuck. I'm telling you. With those Vader 5Bs, big shout out to Vader Drumsticks. I love that company. And gosh, I love this man's playing. I will always look at YouTube videos of him just playing every single groove. He'll just jump in to collaborate with musicians. And I say, you know what? Chad Smith, I fucking love this guy. Period. And he's also the reason why I started drumming. He influenced me.
Right, of course.
He's the reason why.
That's
Main reason why.
Mm.
Love Chad Smith. Big shout out to that guy. Ooh.
And if I had to really think about it, I mean, Julio already said Ozzy, and that would have been that's definitely the one for me. Ozzy has influenced me for the past let's see, since I was 13 years old, basically. You know what I mean? And there's so many things that he influenced me with in terms of his style of dressing up, the way that he sounds when he's performing, and things of that nature. Like, I'm never gonna fucking snort fire ants or anything like that. It's like you learn the good, but you don't do the bad that somebody who influences you does. You know what I'm saying? So, just so that, we have different answers, I would say Jim Morrison, because Jim Morrison was, the Doors were my first introduction into rock, and that's really, it just opened like a whole other dimension for me. And, I have Jim Morrison's book of poetry, and just the way he talks, the way, he speaks, it's out of this world. And it's it's like opening another dimension. I don't know how to describe it, and I think meeting the guy would just be one hell of a trip. You know, whether it's on acid or not, I'm not entirely sure, but that's who's to say?
I want to go off the rails and say I want to give my answer of who I want to meet.
Who?
It's Ian Curtis from Joy Division.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know, like I know like towards the end of his life, he was suffering a lot from like, epilepsy and having like severe seizures and all that stuff, but like his lyrics were just so like amazing, and like the way that like he played and like sang and stuff, and like he kind of implemented him having seizures into like his dances. But like I would like I don't know, like you can almost like feel like what he feels like when he's like singing and playing and stuff like that. Like it's really hard to do that. And like imagine like at 23 you have like a huge influence on like all these bands. Like you wouldn't have like that, like I don't know, I think like The Cure or something like that.
Right.
And then interesting enough, he was actually inspired by Jim Morrison and the Doors, and he used to listen to the Doors, so that's like a cool connection there.
That is pretty cool.
So yeah, sorry, I went off the rails there.
No, it's quite all right.
I don't know. I saw how much you guys are having fun answering that question. I just had to jump in.
I just love that one because I already knew my answer was gonna be.
All right, this is for all of you, except me. What do you believe separates your band from all the other bands ever? Like ever?
Julio, you got the floor.
Get the flow.
I don't want it.
Oh my God. At the body.
I guess the fact that I guess the fact that we don't have a bassist, and that
you guys are so kawaii, desu. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we are, and how we just mesh all these different backgrounds and genres together. And there was one thing I had in mind. I don't remember now, but that was mostly it.
More like poof.
That was mostly it.
Okay. All right, Two Sticks. What do you think? Celebrates.
Fuck me. What celebrates your band?
What do you think
separates?
Yeah, whatever. What do you think separates Galaxy Beat from every other musician, band, or whatever?
Well, I feel what Julio was saying, not having a basis. You know what I mean? Because out here it's hard to find one, and a person that could play a right keyboard pattern. You know what I mean? I mean, I strongly agree with what Julio was saying. Finding a basis, bases, they're just too difficult to find. And, what if they join another band, whatnot, etc. I mean, I feel what he was saying. Like finding,
right,
like not having a basis for our band,
Okay. In my honest opinion, I think what separates us is the fact that we're not afraid to, what do you call this? Try different things, and it doesn't just pertain to music. Like, yeah, we mentioned earlier how we're multi-genre and whatnot. The other thing too is that like we like to implement comedy in our stuff. I mean, I can't tell you, all the stuff that we've done in the past. I've dressed up from everything from a fucking cowboy to the time we dressed up like priests at church. Or and I was thinking about this today. What the hell was the name of that like festival or whatever we performed at, that like the AC was off? It was hot as hell. Was it called like Pachanga or something? Do you remember?
The one in Alapata?
Yeah, that's the one.
Alapata.
It was tropical some shit. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Tropical sun.
Bunch of bands.
So, we go up there, and before we even get to perform, I'm playing on the keyboards like what you would hear in a Baptist church, like on the keyboard. I'm just like, and here we are. Well, Galaxy B, we're gathered here today
Oh my
And I
gosh.
swear to you, you're gonna feel the power of God. You know, just
Holy shit.
anything that'll make people say, "Hey, that was funny as hell." You know, get a good laugh out of them. And another thing that I'm extremely proud of when it comes to this band is that, you know, I'm not trying to disrespect anyone else when I say this, but I feel like we're comfortable with who we are. And what I mean by that is, you come to a Galaxy Beach show, you know what you're getting. You're going to get Captain Crash and Bash over there, Tuesdays. You're going to get the six string king, Julio Diaz, and you're going to get me, the champ that runs the camp, Shane Ragunin. And, you know, I feel like with a lot of bands or a lot of musicians, they try to do different gimmicks. They try to come across as something they're not. And, you know, contrary to the point, we never treat our fans like they're idiots. Like, fans can tell when you don't have confidence in yourself, especially when you're performing on stage, because you can perform great, whatever, but it's like you gotta let people know, like, who are you exactly? You can't just show up and say, I'm the guitarist, I'm the vocalist. Like, no,
Mhm.
come up there and be like, I'm the, you know, be humble, but at the same time, be a little bit of I'm the shit. There's a
Yeah.
sweet spot in there, and I feel like we hit that sweet spot. We're happy to be here, but we're also, you know, the showstoppers. You know what I'm saying? The headliners, the main event, icons, all that. So, I got goosebumps just saying that.
Okay, so
Ooh,
I
you
hate
getting goosebumps, my boy.
Yeah.
I hate to isolate you from the rest of the band, but you're the only one that is in a marriage.
Yeah.
And you know, this type of relationship takes a lot of like time and nurturing and stuff. And you also have your wonderful band.
Yeah.
How do you juggle having a marriage, like keeping your marriage alive and but also the band?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mm.
At first, it was not easy. Juggling the two. You know, I love both things. I love the band, and I love my wife very much. And you know, I always, you know, before any show, and you know this firsthand, I always say, look, I don't want to overstep anything. I don't want to overwrite plans we have already. Are we available at this time? And I ask you annoyingly sometimes, like, are you sure you're okay with this? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because if you tell me like you would rather do this, like I then you know, I want to hear about it. Like, you know, there's gonna come a point where we probably have kids, and I don't want to be one of those parents where I'm gonna choose performing over seeing my kid lose his first tooth or something. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So when it comes to juggling this marriage, you know, this marriage and also the band, it's just a matter of um being able to respect both at the end of the day. And you know, I always enjoy having you come to our shows. I feel like you're my lucky charm. You know, I've never done a bad show when you come. So um and the other thing I was going to mention was that eh, yeah, just honestly, it's mostly just the part of making sure you don't overwrite plans, because what if that's date night, or you know, we were gonna go see your parents. Like family is important, you
It
know.
is.
Nothing is more important than family. So I will always put that first before anything else.
Is there any advice you would give to anyone that's like, gonna get married, that they're gonna go into like a marriage? It's like, being in a marriage, like it's really not for everybody. And like it's okay if you don't get married. You don't have to get married. You can just stay in a relationship. But if people want to take the next step, but they're like a musician or whatever, is there any advice that you want to give to them? Like, do you have anything you'd say to like anyone that's a musician, but also, wants to like put time and effort into their marriage?
Oh, absolutely. First and foremost, before you get married, make sure that your significant other respects the fact that you're a musician, respects the fact that, you know, sometimes you're gonna be unavailable for certain things, and you know, you guys just gotta work out a good schedule. Like, no, like, hey, this date, you know, I'm gonna be performing, but this date we can do something together. And you know, it just comes to a level of respect and understanding. from both sides. That's the most important thing I would say when it comes to marriage and being a musician. Like, for example, I'm going to send a big shout out to someone who was a guest on our podcast, Taylor Davis.
Hey, Taylor Davis.
Hey, dude. He
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah, first off, congratulations.
Nobody.
Congratulations, TD.
Yes, I have never seen someone as understanding like his wife right now, Daniela. First and foremost, not only does she come to his shows, she's his damn photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so
those photos are amazing.
Great stuff.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about right there. Like, just, support your significant other when they're doing music, respect it, love them. What do you call this? But another thing too is, and this is one of the things I love about you, is that, like, you're not afraid to tell us when you think something's a bad idea. Like, hey, I don't think you guys should do this show, or hey, I don't think this is a great idea to do on stage. Yeah, I mean, your opinion is very important to me.
Or like, I'll just say like, oh, I don't feel comfortable in this area.
Right, exactly. So at the end of the day, for those of you who are in a relationship or in a marriage, it is very important to just you have someone who understands you're a musician, this is what you love, and you're not going to be available all the
And
time.
I think the most important thing is they're supportive.
Yes,
of
absolutely.
your SoundCloud career.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, SoundCloud career.
All right, so
that's real shit you said there, Shane.
So Julio and Shane, you're both the writers for the Galaxy Beat songs. What's your process in songwriting? How do you get from thought to paper for lyrics? Papel.
I have, and you can answer this one now because I have barely done any songwriting in a while, and it's difficult to get something written down and try to compose it into something that sounds awesome. Wildflower was basically everything just came all at once, and I had it. The takeover was a pretty badass thing that Shane had a good idea for. He had all the lyrics, and well, I came up with the riff, like I said. I guess I would have to say I'm a team player, so if you have an idea, I can definitely help you out and come up with something. But by myself, like with Wildflower, that was hard. I don't really have a specific process or anything like that. Do you, Shane?
Well, first I sit on a banana.
Oh my god.
No, in all seriousness, there's no, like, specific step of doing it. It's not like hammering a nail into a wall or something like that. Like, there's different things. Like, for example, like when you wrote Wildflower, I think you had like a cold or something, right?
Oh yeah, I was dying, and yet I was still writing and trying to come up with the verse and the chorus and everything while that was happening.
Yeah, so I think it just all depends. It's like a matter of circumstance. Like Senorita Bonita, I really don't know how the hell I came up with that. Actually, that might have been the most frustrating song to write, believe it or not.
Well, Julio came up with that guitar riff.
He came up with the guitar riff, and he also came up with the chorus, which I think is the most important part of the song.
Part of the song.
Even if I don't know what he says in it.
But you definitely had the first verse and then the longer second verse, and it's like that must have been difficult trying to get all that out there.
It was coming at a time where we were just learning to play and sing at the same time. Like, I would play it, and then it was like, it was so frustrating. I cannot tell you how on earth I got it done. All I can think in my head right now is, I think I heard Suavemente maybe 100 times, and I wish that was a joke, but it's not. I already mentioned with the takeover, I was pissed off, and Also, the song that inspired that as well, not just me being pissed off or whatever, but there's a specific song that I heard and I wanted it to sound just like that was I think it was called Bullet with a Name by Rage Against the Machine.
Bullzone Parade.
Well, yeah, well that's a great song too, but the song that inspired the takeover, quite honestly, when I was writing it was Bullet with a Name. So and again, like there's just different things. Like sometimes, you're sad, you write, sometimes you're in love, you're sometimes like what do you call this? Like, not to spoil anything, but I'm writing a couple of things down. Like I just finished writing like a song where you just chill or whatever. I don't know how that came about. And then I'm writing just a gangster song, right now because I was listening to Young Jeezy and never realized how much I loved Young Jeezy. Like I liked him, but now I realize I love him. So I've been listening to a lot of him, and it's been helping me write new songs. So there's different processes to it.
All right, so back in the days, you guys were known for being wild, rowdy, crazy ass party animals. Now that y'all are close to 30,
Oh yeah.
are you
Oh,
just as
oh my
crazy
God.
as ever, or do you feel like you guys just, mellowed out throughout the years?
Uh,
Mellow out,
this is a
The
harsh.
mellow fellow?
like mellow fellow. Yeah.
I
You
mean,
guys are a bunch of mellow fellows now?
this is kind of like depressing to say, but when we started this, we were not only were we in college, but we were like we were like 22. You know what I
We were
mean?
like 20, we were like 22.
Yeah, like we were basically babies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Right.
so at the time we had a lot more time on our hands, and we had the summers to just do whatever we wanted, and perform shows and drink a ton of beer. And I mean, God, like when I think about the shit that we did, like it's just crazy. Like I would never be able to do that right now. Obviously, I've mellowed it out. Look, I'm fucking married right now.
Oh my God.
Happily, by the way. Um,
You better be.
I assure you I am. But yeah, like it's just in comparison to what I used to do before, like I think about it sometimes and I'm just like, damn, like, like we used to go to like we were regulars at the glitch, you know what I'm saying? We used to sit
Like
there,
restaurants and stuff. I
restaurants,
remember.
we would drink, we would down beers like there was no tomorrow, we would party at Peter's house, you know what I mean? And we do all kinds of crazy shit like drinking straight out of the canister or whatever you call them things. Keg, sorry.
Damn,
In the
bro.
Straight
boot.
out the keg. Yeah,
In the boot.
I'm trying to think of some stories that I can bring up about the crazy time. I'm thinking about the time we were at the backyard.
Yeah, I remember that shit.
We were at the backyard. Oh, I remember why we were there in the first place because of my cousin Jenna, all the way from South Africa. Hi, Jenna. Congratulations on your wedding coming up in November, which we'll be there for, by the way.
Once I get a new passport
Yeah.
with my new name.
So Jenna, she invited us to go out, and we were in Fort Lauderdale, and we went to the backyard, and it was really cool. Like
It was America's backyard. That's right next to Poorhouse.
Yeah, I think they changed it to just backyard now, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they.
No, I don't think they did.
Yeah, actually, because we went to Dance Gavin Dance concert, and that's where we went after. It was just backyard.
Yeah, they renamed it to just backyard.
Oh, okay, makes
But
sense.
but anywho, yeah. So it's me, it's Julio, and it's Two Sticks, and it's Jenna. Oh, we're just doing our thing, whatever. We're partying, we're dancing. The fun thing about us is that we always like keep to ourselves, like we just dance amongst each other and whatnot, and more people are like, "Hey, those guys are having fun," you know what I mean? And lo and behold, Wild 100 is there, and they're like, "Hey, there's a bachelorette party. Would one of you guys would you like to give a lap dance?" And
Oh my
these,
God.
these two were actually like really like what do you call this? They were kind of not scared to do it, but they were kind of hesitant. I was loaded,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Sure, I'll do it." You know what I mean? And I don't remember anything else after that. I honestly don't. We were it was bad. At one point I was dancing on top of the bar and this big security guard was like he looked like Devil and he told me, get down from there. And I'm like, who the fuck? Oh, okay, yes, sir, sorry.
Oh my gosh.
He was really tall.
That's what she said.
All right, we're back here. And, we've gone over some questions today, some pretty cool questions, some interesting questions, and we learned a lot about the band today. So, one of the things that we mentioned at the top of this podcast is that, a VoyageMIA interview, which I, myself, Skittie, and one of our guests here today, Two Sticks, has done before. And, Two Sticks, you were the first one, actually, that did the interview with VoyageMIA. And so the next questions that we have are actually regarding that interview.
They're almost like follow-up questions.
Yeah, so think of this as like an additional interview from VoyageMIA.
Yeah, so as most of you know, I don't know if I ever mentioned it, in college, university, I was an English major, and one of the things that, we were trained to do in me going down the writing path was to be, clear, concise, all that jazz. So if any of the questions seem a little bit kind of like harsh like that, nothing personal, just the way I was taught when critiquing other people's writing.
All right.
All right. I'm going in chronological order from things that I saw that I thought needed more clarification or something like that. Okay, so the first passage I'm gonna read. Okay, this is verbatim what you wrote. And okay, the instrument I've been wanted to try out is the marching snare. Members of the band thought it would be very simple to play with marching cymbals because it will be very difficult to learn some things on the marching snare since I first joined. That's towards
Now,
the
what I mean by that was back in the 9th grade, I've always wanted to try a marching snare. I've always wanted to play a marching snare. That's like even when I joined the marching band back in high school.
Right.
So the members thought, you know what, it's way too difficult for you. I don't think you're ready for it. I don't think you took the time to practice. So they put me onto marching cymbals instead. And I find it very simple. So all I have to do is just follow whoever's lead, you know. That's what I mean by that,
All right.
because that was my first time joining marching band during high school. And I really miss it.
Oh.
I really just miss it, because I would just go there, I practice, I take time and effort, until they could think, he's good. Let's just put him on some other instrument, percussion instrument, and etc. And then we'll go from there and see what kind of progression he has. It's like an audition. So think of it as drumline.
Right.
The movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just thank you for
Yeah, that was the clarification.
Oh, is that before you got to ask the question though?
No, he basically read my mind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just more like a clarifying thing because it could
Right.
have been worded differently. Also, just
But
like a nitpicky thing. That's just me personally. It's just very nitpicky. Some things isn't one word. It's actually two separate words, like just some space things. Again, just nitpicky on my part. But okay, the next thing that I have, on the other hand to this, during my junior and senior year in high school, I joined the high school's jazz band combo, and the reason why is because the music instructor needed a drummer right away because the other drummer who was in the jazz band combo have already graduated.
He graduated before I did. And I'm talking about, you know, this happened when I even left marching band because I find it more difficult and it was very challenging.
Yeah.
You know, so that's when the music instructor is like, you know what? Hey, Demetrius, my other drummer's graduating. I need you. That's what he means by that. So he already graduated before I even did. I was a junior. I think he was a senior. I was a junior at the time. And he was a senior. So I already know he graduated before I did. Then that's when I said, you know what? Okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll join the jazz band combo.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
usually play a piece, like follow it, and then I take some time in the band room and practice. And the interesting thing is I never had a 7th or 8th period class, period. Never. Because all I did was I took the time to practice drums for a while until, rehearsal time started. Then I finally get a brief idea of what the music instructor wants to play, what concepts he wants me to do, etc. You know, gosh, I just really miss those times, y'all. Back in high school, never had a 7th or 8th period during my senior year.
Yeah. Just like a few notes I would do to this. I wouldn't necessarily have started or put on the like quote unquote on the other hand to this. I don't think that was like needed. You could have just said, during my junior year in high school, and also like this is like another nitpick. You didn't have to reiterate the high school's compo. Maybe you could have, but like it's not really needed because like you're established. This was during high school, so that kind of wasn't needed again. But again, that's a little nitpicky on my part.
Right.
And then the last part, I think a better sentence at the end would have been I joined the band because the drummer that was originally a band had graduated. That's just the one I came up with. But like I said, like I think it could have been like a little bit shorter, like you know what I mean.
Correct.
Yeah, just a little bit more concise.
But yeah, that drummer, I was friends with him. He graduated before I did. So I decided to take his spot when I was a senior.
Right.
For my 12th grade year. I totally miss it though. I will always just go in that band room and started just, crashing and bashing. And students, they like it. You know, they really like it. And I'll never forget about that time. And that's when I actually started making my YouTube channel
Interesting.
back in high school.
Okay.
Because what got me introduced to it is because my stepsister told me something. She says, you know what? You want people to see you drum? Make a YouTube channel. And I just say, you know what? How can I do that? So she later put me up on the process. I made the channel. I started making videos like crazy during my high school year. Crazy, like this. And that's when I got very introduced to it. Started making content, and I'm making content this year. And I just kept it going,
Yeah.
Right. So
All right, the next I know you kept like saying rearing this like previously, but for like context, like me when I say it's gonna sound different, but like when someone like reads your interview, like it's a different story. Personally, it's one of my pet peeves because this one you started it as a statement and you ended it as a question. That could be really confusing.
right.
Like towards the end of one of the things he said, like as a result of this, I never any 7th or 8th period classes because they're full, comma. So what do I do? Question mark. To me, that's really confusing. You could have after you put they were full, you could have ended it with a period and then did the question bit because comma is kind of like extending that question. The period just like stops that. So Like I said, one of my pet peeves, starting as a statement and then ending as a question, it will always like, I don't know, like baffle me how people do this because I've never done it. But like, yeah. Like I'm
Right.
just saying on paper, it just looks really confusing. But like that's all I wanted to say about that sentence. And then this one really intrigued me. He wrote, in college, I developed a band project called Galaxy B. So why the word develop?
Oh,
Like usually people say like, oh, like I started a band, like we started a band or we formed a band, but I never really heard like develop a band.
oh, I thought that would be the same as formed. That's why I say that. You
Not
know,
really. Like you could develop feelings for someone. You could. What's another way we use develop?
Develop like with chemicals and shit like that.
Yeah, that's more of like that context. I don't think it's kind of like weird because like I never really heard someone use like develop because of the way because like the meaning of the word is usually start a band, formed a band, but never like I said, I just never heard of develop.
It's kind of like, if I may,
Because like people, yeah, go ahead. Because I'm probably not
yeah. It's
communicating
it's
correctly.
kind of like when you tell someone, that you start the ignition in the car. You tell them, I start you start the ignition. You don't say I develop the ignition, because develop is like saying I I don't know, I'm like building it or whatever. Whereas opposed to like started it, starting it basically puts it as like ground zero, as like this is where it started. Saying formed or created, is another word you can use, in my opinion. Um, I'm no English major, but I think that
Yeah, that's
that
suffice.
helps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes we need help too, but yeah.
yeah. So
And then band project. I don't know. That was just like it's just a band. I don't know.
right.
All right, continuing on. This sentence is just more like clarification. Okay, playing live shows with these guys was so much just build up a great connection plus our fan base. I was a little confused by the wording there.
majority for, I mean, even when we started, we played a lot of shows. So we was just, first playing around and stuff. And I'm talking about in our early, I want to say early 20s, because, gosh, forbid, we're almost 30. Time goes fast. Anyway, because this is like when we first started, we were always play shows like all over in general, whether it's South Miami, North Miami. Let me see, Little Haiti. What else did we perform at? We
All
did
kinds,
perform in we did perform in Coral Gables, Hialeah,
yeah,
Fort Lauderdale mostly.
all kinds of places, basically.
All yeah, all kinds of business.
Yeah,
That's what I mean by that, because playing playing all these shows is just like being on tour. You never stop, but you keep going. You keep moving to the next venue, the next city. It's basically like a tour to me in person. And that's what I mean by that. When you play a lot of live shows, like you have a schedule lined up, it's just like a tour. You never stop. You keep going. You never stop.
right.
Keep, keep going.
All right, so the next one, this could have been like multiple sentences because like it's a lot that's just like one giant sentence. All right, what you wrote was playing drums is what I absolutely love to do. Is because it expresses on what I am or how I feel, and I know a lot of people would say it's for fun. Well, that can be true when you're at a park on a beautiful hot sunny day, just banging on your drums, and then from what I understood, from what talking
Well,
to people,
what I want to clarify on that is because I mean, drumming, how I want to say this. I don't love drumming just for a reason. I love it because it came to me. You know, it came to me to the point where I'm just hitting stuff randomly. It don't matter where I'm at. I just randomly hit stuff. And that's when I was introduced to drumming, and it came to me at most. Because I didn't like it at most, but it came to me. And I just said, well, okay, I'm starting to like this lifestyle. But I mean, as I even got older, just now, I started taking time to, practice more, you know, and then from here, for this year, my playing has got a little bit more consistent because people will tell me all the time, whether I'm playing live shows with Galaxy Beat and JOG, you know, your playing is very fucking phenomenal, 2-6. You're like a beast. I like what you do with them stick flips, them stick tricks, whatnot. You know, it's it's more of a journey. I mean, drumming just really just expresses my emotions. Like it don't matter if I'm just having such a very shit day, there's the drums right there. Like Neil Peart said, R.I.P. to him. If you have a problem, take it out for a drum. And that was like one of the best quotes that hit me. So I went ahead and did what Neil Peart said. Take it out for a drum. Because that's like your only best option. Like you do what you love and then it expresses you. You know, it helps you get rid of that stress, that emotion. That's how I figured my way to finding drumming is to, you know, take away stress and and express emotion. That's how I want to clarify on that.
okay,
Okay.
yeah, but
All right, to Neil Peart. I love that guy.
Yeah, me too.
That's the drummer for Rush.
Yeah.
though I wouldn't really suggest, telling people, "Hey, go play your drums with the park," because I don't know if people know this or
Because
park
how I want to
players.
say that is because since I live in a small apartment and it's very hard for me to play Raven, what I do is I take it out to the park and start having some fun. That's it. I could take her there. I could take her to Music Teresa in North Miami and have some fun there. Because I've been wanting to play some stuff with my drum kit, but since I live in an apartment, it's hard. It's difficult. I
Which
mean, back then, I mean, back then, when I started, I used to live in a house in Miami Gardens, a duplex. I mean, I had my drum set. I started like, you know, playing loud stuff. My neighbors ain't give a fuck. I'm telling you, they didn't care. I never had no noise complaints, no police showing up, none of that. Period. I mean, even when I moved here, I even said, how come I don't have neighbors like that? You know, I play like a random drum groove and then they'll say, "Oh, you're good as hell. Keep going, keep going, keep going." I like that. Keep going. But now everything has changed since, I moved out from Miami Gardens and out to North Miami Beach. Things kind of change.
Right.
But soon, I've been wanting to take Raven out and start having fun with her because that's my drum set, man. That's my baby. I gotta tell you, because you do it in an apartment, guess what? You got to deal with neighbors, noise complaints, and then cops show up. You know, think of it. I mean, Shane, think of it as um, we had a show with over at a house in Davie.
Yeah,
Remember that one?
I do remember that, and to provide
And
some.
then guess what? During the last song of Gifted Hands, I mean, I've been dying to record that song too. I think it was at the beginning of Gifted Hands or in the middle of Gifted Hands. Guess what? Cops show up.
Right. Well, here's the thing behind that is that, and I was gonna say this, towards the beginning when you were mentioning, I get it, you live in an apartment and you want to go and freely, play your drums and whatnot. And
Right.
there's nothing wrong with playing at the
Yeah.
park, but the thing is that in most parks you got to make sure that you get an approval from, like, what is it, like the park ranger or something?
Yeah, like the park itself or like a permit or something. Cause like, and then there's some parks like they just don't allow that at all.
Yeah, so it's just really important that, like, whatever park you go to, you make sure that you tell them beforehand, like, hey, I want to take my drums, I want to do this, is there anything I have to do? Or sometimes if you just tell them that, you're bringing them, beforehand, they'll be like, okay, cool, whatever, as long as nobody complains and whatnot. And, in regards to, yeah, having the cops called on us years ago at that show, it was a
Yeah.
Sunday evening, dude. I mean, people had to get up in the morning.
Yeah, I
And
think the more is like being mindful of other people, like in a residential area.
we were in
I
Davie.
think Davie is a residential area.
It
I
is.
think so.
And we were playing in somebody's backyard, like, what I mean? And there was tons of houses, well, apartments, like, across from us. Of course, somebody was gonna call the cops. Like, how the hell was that not?
I mean, I knew that it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
As soon as I seen them flashlights, I'm like, oh damn, I know what time it is.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, just for our listeners and stuff, make sure you know the rules before you do something so you don't get upsetty.
with anything.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks for the advice, Rose. I mean, Mom.
Oh my god. All right, and then this is the last one. So buckle up, everybody.
Hmm.
The question
Yeah,
was,
I'm buckled.
what matters most to you? And then you responded, what matters mostly to me is building that foundation and fan base of the band. Why? It's all because when I have the great fan base plus foundation, it basically lets people know who you are and what do you do.
What-
On the
what
other
I-
hand, if it's an artist, songwriter, rapper, musician, or producer, they probably want to collaborate with me on some things, and yet we'll start building such a connection. And I just wanted to
what
know
I what
what
I want to
advice
touch
on
on
this.
that, what I wanted to touch on that is because, you know, I'm just like Chad Smith. He hops in and joins other musicians. That I feel that same way, and I love that energy. You know, I love collaborating with other people, like other artists. And on top of that, if I find it very interesting that they're good enough, I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna go out there and join. See if they need a percussionist, And what I want to build on that fan base is because you want to keep pushing forward even more so people can know you very well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I mean by that.
Mhm.
Having that good connection with somebody, trust me, that could get you a show like this. So say if I was out street drumming, there's a bassist, there's a keyboardist. I play a random drum beat out of nowhere. They say, damn, that sounds really good. So if they come in, that means they're joining you. That means they want to join. They want to have fun with you. They want to jam with you. Once you start having that little connection, that great connection, that good energy, guess what? They want to play live shows with you.
So
That's what I
basically,
mean. That's what I mean by that. Because even when Galaxy V started, why you think Julio and Deshaunton were at the lake playing guitar, and that caught my attention. is because I wanted to join. I wanted to collaborate. Because
So
when I see somebody play an instrument, whatnot, let me tell you, that grabs my attention like this. That's what I mean by that.
right.
That's it.
That's actually very helpful.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is, building a fan base and whatnot. It's more of it's not so much as like, most people, they enjoy, having fans and whatnot. You're seeing it as more of when you look at the fans, you're looking at people who are going to potentially lead to more, bookings for shows and stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So that means it's gonna be an audience, and then guess what? Maybe someday, maybe someday people in the audience will call you up saying, "Hey, we need you for a gig," you know, and we'll pay you. We'll pay you all. That's
Okay.
what I mean.
All right. Yeah. No,
Mm.
I got that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
But thank you for going on this journey with me. Sorry if I was harsh at any point.
No, no, no. You good.
Yeah.
You good.
Yeah.
Um,
I just want to make sure everyone, understood what you meant, like more clearly.
yeah, yeah. I understood.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh.
Well, all right. This has been very. I was gonna say educational, like it was
Educational.
the magic school.
It's
It's
Yeah.
quite a ride with Galaxy Beat.
I mean-
a ride into the galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, it's educational in the sense that, like, yeah, this isn't stuff they're teaching at school, but you learn a lot about us, the
Yeah.
three of us.
Yeah, and also I know you guys usually say my own piece, but I felt like for this situation, I encourage you all to read 2/6's interview, Shane's interview, and also my interview, which I will put all the links somewhere for you to click on and read.
Yeah.
And that's my cop out.
And also, I just want to throw my recent interview in there from Canvas Rebel. Check
That's
that out
right.
as well.
That's right.
All the links will be down in the description somewhere, somehow.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be posting that at some point so you guys can read each and every one of those articles. And
Those are my pieces to you people.
and for those of you who are wondering what happened to Julio, basically his phone died. 2/6's phone is dying.
We're all dying
yeah,
on the inside.
but before we go, we just wanted to say we want to thank 2/6 for his time. We want to thank Julio for his time, and we want to give everyone a preview of what's to come February 17th. Ladies and gentlemen, you're hearing for the very first time, and you're not going to hear this anywhere else until it hits on February 17th.
But before he plays it, this has been Skittie.
Oh, yeah, and Kemosabe.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Galaxy B, even though Julio's not with us
Yeah.
right now. Not anymore.
I know.
Just here in the Zoom meeting. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the takeover.
Happy with where I'm at, but I think that's a load of crap. And it sounds like I should be cool with being complacent.